difficult time for all involved. Today, Ashley Manzi and Ruth Kim, family law attorneys with Ziegler, Zemsky, and Resnick, located in Hackensack and Livingston, New Jersey, have made it their mission to help others to get to the next chapter in their lives and make it just a little easier along the way. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you very much.
To have you guys.
Having us.
Cheers. So yeah, difficult time.
Yeah.
No fun for anyone, but it's nice to have you ladies to help along, and I'm excited to share with everyone how you can.
Great. Thank you.
But first of all, let's talk about the firm. So what can you tell us about Ziegler, Zemsky, and Resnick?
So the firm is based out of Livingston, New Jersey. We have about 10 attorneys at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
We are boutique matrimonial family law. It's primarily our focus. We also have offices in Hackensack where Ruth and I are working, and we have an office in Westfield also.
Okay.
So we service, Essex and Bergen County, but then we are also in Hudson County, Morris County. We go down to Monmouth County, so we're all over really the northeast part of New Jersey. And our focus really just is on everything from prenuptial agreements to custody, child support, divorce, and then post-judgment work also. So for people who have already gone through the divorce process or gone through the separation process and have work that needs to be done afterwards.
Right.
We kind of run the entire spectrum in terms of family law.
Okay, fantastic. Now, you were talking about a satellite office. And where is that?
So that's our office in Hackensack.
Okay.
So we're located in Continental Plaza across from Riverside Square.
Okay.
Which
And just
is
the
no
two of you
coincidence.
are there?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
So we're there, although we do pop into the Livingston office, and some of the attorneys in the Livingston office pop into Hackensack or Westfield.
Okay.
And I also live in Hoboken, so we have office space in Hoboken that we use as well for that clientele.
Right.
Sort of all over the place.
Okay. Well, good. So you're reachable.
Yes.
You're attainable,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
So, well, let's talk about your backgrounds a little bit.
Sure.
So why don't you share first?
Sure. I'm actually from Southern California.
Mhm.
I went to school at UCLA and felt the calling to go into the law.
Wonderful, yeah.
And I went to Seton Hall University,
Mhm.
and I met my husband on the very first day of law school. And since then, I've
Look
been
at
here.
that. That was your path.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
And I
wonderful.
focused my practice primarily in matrimonial law.
Okay. All right. Ashley, how about you?
So I grew up on this side of the country. I grew up in New Jersey, in Bergen County, actually, right down the street, right here, I guess. And I went to the University of Delaware for undergraduate. I also went to Seton Hall Law School. And then like I said, I live in Hoboken. I've lived there for the last 12 years.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of my clientele sort of organically stems from
Yes.
the Hoboken area.
Just happens that way.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So how did you guys come together?
Wow, that's so we both clerked in Essex County, and the family law community is very small. So I appeared before her judge when she was a law clerk, and our friendship grew from there. And we both practiced the same area of law, and we both loved it, and
You had that connection.
We really did,
Right,
yes.
and you worked really well together.
Yeah,
Yes.
and most people, when they meet us, assume that we have worked together for, decades. And while we have both worked in the same area of law for that long, it's really only been together for a couple of years, but it's a good balance.
It's a good connection.
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
definitely, yeah.
And when someone comes to you, do they work with both of you?
Typically, no.
Okay.
So typically, the benefit of our office and the way we run even the Hackensack office is that we're both very familiar with each other's cases, but ultimately you're really working with one attorney just to minimize the legal fees, right? But also to maximize the quality so that you're getting a consistency throughout.
Absolutely.
But we do always, sort of backdrop for each other when either one of us is unavailable.
Right,
for
and if there's a novel issue that comes up in a case, I always have a listening ear, as well as the attorneys and partners that we have in the Livingston office. It's just such a great working environment because we can bounce ideas off of each other, and we have senior partners that have been doing the matrimonial practice for many years, and having their wisdom in these cases, it's nice. It's refreshing.
Has anything really changed in the law recently? Is there anything that you could share?
Well, there have been a few changes passed in the most recent few years, and then the biggest one coming up if you want to talk about the tax law.
Right, so there's going to be a new change in the alimony, the way alimony is structured. So now it's no longer going to be tax deductible. Right, so a lot of people are scrambling towards the end of the year to finalize their divorces before the tax law gets.
So it's grandfathered.
We're hoping, you know, the tax code we're still not sure how it's going to be handled, but the hope is if you get divorced in this year, you'll have the tax consequences as they stand right now, which are taxable to the receiver and deductible to the payer.
So we're anticipating the end of year.
That's why you're busy this summer.
Absolutely, yes. And we're anticipating that it is going to cause a lot of people scrambling towards the end to get their divorces done by the end of the year.
Just because of the uncertainty. Right. That's it. You know, there's a change coming, and that's uncomfortable. So I don't know that it necessarily is a good or bad thing either way. No. I think it's just a change.
Okay. Let's talk about your mission.
Well, it's a loaded question, right?
Yeah, right?
I say this all the time, but we sell a service nobody wants. You know, we are not in the sales business, at least not the way I look at it, not the way we operate, but we are dealing with people during one of the most difficult times of their lives. You're never dealing with the best version of someone.
Yeah.
So in terms of our mission, what we really do to try to make it a little easier is if we can get somebody from this, you know, difficult time in their lives to a little bit better place with efficiency, with some ease, lending a helping hand, lending a shoulder to cry on, and sort of offering that as the whole package, while also being conscientious of the time and the money that goes into this process. Right. If we can get them to that next chapter, you know, with all of those things in mind, then we look at it as a job well done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, absolutely. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think she succinctly said everything. I mean, 80% of what we do is being a therapist, and we are their listening ear, fielding their calls about everything that you can imagine.
I can only imagine.
Their electricity bills not being turned on, or their children are suffering, or their grades, etc. You name it, we're running the gambit of what we're dealing with. Right. And we're there for them during this most difficult time, as Ashley stated. And you know, we have to be sensitive to their needs, but also advocate for them on these issues.
So now someone's called and they've retained you as their lawyer. What are the next steps?
Well, the next steps are really determining what the issues are, how we want to approach those issues, if we want to go through mediation or the mediation process, which, again, when we do family law cases, we're not litigation minded, but obviously we're tooled for that if it ever needs to get to that point. Yes. And, you know, 99% of cases settle. Whether they settle at the inception of the case or in the middle after you go to mediation or on the eve of trial. The goal is to get them settled because you do not want a stranger in a black robe deciding your cases. You'd like to have some input into what you're going to be deciding and what the ultimate conclusion of your case is going to be. And typically when you're doing a divorce, neither party's going to walk away with everything that they wanted. Of course. Nor are they going to walk away happy. You know, it's really a compromise. And so our job is to balance that compromise with getting them realistically what we believe that they are entitled to.
Right.
So we identify the issues and we try to gear, I mean, the courts put into play certain benchmarks to make sure we try to settle cases too. So, you know, we identify the issues, we go through what our client believes is reasonable. A lot of times we have clients that don't know anything and they need to be informed, you know, to that end, we always say knowledge is power, right? Yeah. So the more they know, the more we can help them find out, the better they'll feel about reaching a resolution. So that's what we try to do.
Making things realistic for them, right?
Exactly.
But also not setting unrealistic expectations either. We're not in the business of telling them they're going to have the sun, moon, and the stars. We're going to tell them that, you know, the realistic, this is achievable versus what, you know, another attorney may be saying to them, or their friend who got divorced got this. Right.
I think honesty would be one of the best things that you could receive during this process. Right. Because there's not a lot of honesty that's happening.
And people might not want to hear it, but the truth is, you're doing your client a disservice if you're promising them something they can't get. So we try to maintain expectations throughout the process.
That's wonderful. So brings me to my next question. We're talking about your approach. So what is your approach?
Well, so this sort of goes in tandem with what we do once we are retained. You know, we sit down, we do a full consultation of, you know, the information that we need to be able to identify the issues and determine, is your case appropriate for mediation right now? Is your case appropriate for sitting down and talking to your spouse? Does your spouse have a lawyer? Should we pick up we are huge advocates of just picking up the phone and calling the other attorney.
And that gets lost sometimes in today's day and technology where, you know, everyone's emailing
Yes.
and it becomes impersonal.
So you're available.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's helpful because we're in a client service business. We want our clients to know that we are here for them.
Absolutely, because a lot of times, you know, you'll call anywhere, right? And they're trying to reach you, but then they get an assistant and they get, you know.
And it gets frustrating for them, yes.
Right, or you have a legal assistant and they're answering questions, but yet they want to be talking with you. And so I think that's very important to know that you're available.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Right.
We're always available. And then we try to approach it with, I do, everything I do for my clients has a cost benefit analysis. And I say that to them, you know. We charge for our time and we charge by the hour, and you need to be conscientious of that too. Because I don't want you spending $1 to get a dime. I don't believe in that. I want you to use your time efficiently. So, you know, again, circling back to our approach, it's really just to maximize what they can achieve and what they can receive with the minimal impact.
So we've been talking a lot about mediation, but what about if you have to go to court? How do you feel about that?
I think once you meet Ashley and myself, you will see that we're not afraid of the courtroom.
Okay.
We know the judges, we know the courtrooms, we know the courthouses, we know the staff, and we're very comfortable being there and advocating on behalf of our clients if we need to.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in cases, if a party or the spouse is not receiving support, we have no choice but to have to go to court and advocate for that client to get the appropriate amount of support that she's entitled to.
Yeah.
Same goes with child custody or anything related to the children, which obviously is of utmost importance to the court and to us as well. You know, we're ready and willing and able to go to court and fight on behalf of our clients.
All right, so we all like to keep things nice, but you're ready to fight if you have to, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because that's what you want to hear too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God. So tell us, what are the most frequent questions that you get?
That's a question that we get all the time. What am I supposed to ask? Yeah. Well, the first question is, listen, they go in tandem, right? How long is this going to take, and what is this going to cost me?
Yes.
Those are the big
The
questions.
money's a big one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
That makes complete sense. And you know, I hate our answer, but the truth is, our answer is it depends. I don't know. I say every case has 4 personalities, right? It has the 2 spouses and then the 2 attorneys, and any one of those 4 personalities could slow down the process or speed up the process at any given moment. And so I personally can only control 25% of your case, you know, and I can't make guarantees as to how fast or slow the other side will move. I can't make guarantees as to how often or not we will have to go to court, and those are the costly expenses.
Right.
So it's so hard to answer that question, and everyone's like, I know I won't hold you to it, but just give me a number.
I know, go for it.
Yes, we hear that.
And I won't personally, but you know, people do, and I don't. It goes back to maintaining realistic expectations.
Because if you put a number out there, even though it's a ballpark,
You're
that
stuck
stays
to it.
in your head.
Absolutely, and it's unfair.
Right. Now, will you keep up with how much is being spent?
Oh, of course.
And be very,
of course. Oh,
yes.
you're. I mean, in any practice, really, you should be billed on a monthly basis.
Okay.
So you should be. It's like watching, you know, your utilities, your credit card bills. You should be paying attention to that number on a monthly basis because you're being billed for time used.
Because transparency is so important.
Absolutely. And if you have questions about your bills, you should be asking your attorneys. I mean, that's one thing people don't usually do, but they should.
And I'm just curious, if someone calls you, I mean, are they being charged at that point too?
If we're talking about your case,
issues in your case.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I mean, if it's you have to go back to, I guess, the retainer agreement and how long the call is for and what you're talking about, but presumably, yes.
All right, I gotcha. So when should someone come to you?
I mean, we see everyone.
Are we racing to you?
Well, I mean, again, as we stated earlier, we do prenuptial agreements. We do at any point in any litigation, we handle these kinds of cases. If there's a domestic violence incident, we handle the restraining order hearings.
All right.
We handle the divorce proceedings, and if there's a custody dispute, there's there's trial with respect to that. So if you have an issue at any point in your case, you should come, even on a consultation basis, just to get an idea of what your rights are at that point in time. If you're not even sure if you want to do the divorce process, but you just want to have an idea of what you'd be entitled to, or what you're going to be facing, or what you're going to be.
I know.
against.
Again, that's the education.
Absolutely.
Right?
Knowledge is
Yes.
power,
Knowledge is
right?
power.
Right? I think that's a PBS slogan, but I use it.
Yeah. Well, I think we all do, because it is
It
important.
truly
It's
is.
so true.
Yes.
So you ladies are also involved in the community. Why don't you share with us about that?
Absolutely. We are both members of the Bergen County Bar Association, and I'm part of the Diversity Committee. We both are, I'm involved in CALAGNY, which is the Great American Lawyers Association of Greater New York. And hopefully we're going to be opening a New Jersey chapter. And I am actually going to be part of their gala committee, which their 32nd annual anniversary gala is on Thursday. And Ashley is involved with.
I do Volunteer Lawyers for Justice, which is a program for people of lesser means in mostly Essex County, where we represent women typically in domestic violence situations. I also am a member of the Matrimonial Inns of Court in Hudson County, and we are also both involved with the New Jersey Women Lawyers Association. So we try to give back to our communities and stay involved in the local bar associations as well.
Wonderful. So what are some final thoughts? What can you leave those that maybe are approaching this about, or just want to educate themselves about it? Like, what can you say?
Well, not to belabor the point, but I really think there's value to obtaining information. So learning everything you can learn before you make any kind of decision, if you are in that situation, whether that means going to see a lawyer just to learn about your rights. I really don't recommend Googling very much, because I think there's, I think there's a downside to that. It's like if we go to the doctor and we Google all of our symptoms, right?
Yeah.
We find out it's nothing close to what we thought we had. So,
Thank you for saying that.
I do really believe that when people come in and they're like, well, I read this on the internet, I'm like, don't tell me. So I don't recommend that. I do believe there's value to going and actually getting a legal opinion as to the specifics of your case. And I think you should also be educated and empowered in learning about your finances, learning
so
about,
important.
and so many people don't serve in that role in their relationship, so they don't feel like they need to know about it. But the more you can learn ahead of time, the better. And I think there's absolute value to that, and that gives people the empowerment that they need to feel like they want to take the next step, if that's what they want.
Right. That makes complete sense.
And this is more just of a practical perspective, is when you meet your attorney and you don't know necessarily if you like them, or if you're not comfortable speaking freely with them, they're probably not going to be a good fit for you. You need someone who, again, is going to be on your side, listen to you, be compassionate, yet advocate on your behalf.
Absolutely.
And if you don't feel comfortable in the initial consultation with this person, the chances are you're not going to feel comfortable when they're delving into your most personal affairs, your finances, your children, your everything that encompasses a divorce. So
You're going to listen to that intuition, right?
100%.
That's important.
Yes, and you want to make sure you're comfortable with the person that's sitting across from you, next to you in court, at every point.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, ladies, so much for coming on the show and
Thank you.
sharing all of this incredible information.
Thank
guys
you
have
for
been
having
terrific.
us. Really,
Thank you.
it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys. I know this is a difficult time, but there is hope and there is help. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.